If you've recently decided to identify as a Christian, what is the most important thing that you should do first? That's what we're going to talk about in this video. Now, if you are new to this channel, hello, welcome. So glad that you're here. There are just a couple things that I would love for you to know. First off, these days, everything feels a little complicated. Life, faith, family, friends, romance, everything seems complicated. But I believe that Jesus is the one thing that shouldn't be. In fact, I believe that when we understand the answer to one question, all of the complicated things in our life and in our world will fall into place. Which is, what does it mean to simply love Jesus? And it is on that question that this entire channel and ministry is built. On this YouTube channel, we want to help make the complicated issues of life and faith simple through loving Jesus. The second thing I would love for you to know is that this specific series that you're watching right now is made for those who are a new Christian. So, if you recently decided to identify as a Christian, this series is made specifically for you, to meet you where you're at, and so that you feel like this conversation starts with you rather than you feeling like you're jumping into an ongoing conversation. I want you to walk away with confidence and clarity. And the best way to do that is to help you take your best first steps. If you try to run before you learn how to walk, you're gonna fall over every time. I want you to be set up for success. And that is why the very first thing that you should do as a new Christian is ask yourself one question. Who is Jesus? To you, who is Jesus? The reason why this question is the first and most important step is because how you answer this question literally determines whether you are a Christian or not.
You serious? There
are many people out there who will try to say that there are many paths to salvation, that, Christianity is not the only way. There are many ways that can lead to the same end goal. No, there isn't. I mean, you can believe that if you want to. I'm not going to stop you, and all the best to you if that's what you want to think. But just know that if that's what you think, you're not a Christian.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
Unfortunately, there are also many Christians out there who aren't actually Christians. They think they are. They may say they know Jesus, but I promise you, Jesus doesn't know them. In fact, there was a letter that one of Jesus's followers had written, and in this letter, Jesus actually says that when he returns, many are going to come to him and say, "Didn't I heal all these people in your name? Didn't I cast out all these demons?" Let me kind of 2021 versionize this for you. Didn't I go to church every Sunday? Didn't I, open my Bible that one time? Didn't I heal a lot of people in your name? But Jesus will look at those people and say, "Get away from me, for I never knew you." So, who is Jesus? And there is a right answer to this. Not to every question in the world. Some questions there is no right or wrong answer, but to this one there is. So, who is Jesus? By choosing to identify as a Christian, you are not choosing to just follow an idea, a vague, abstract idea. No, you're choosing to follow a person. Every smart person knows that there was an actual person named Jesus of Nazareth who was a Jewish rabbi in the first century Israel who had followers who were dedicated to following him. And these Jewish followers eventually branched off into creating this new group that we call Christianity. Why it's so important to know that Jesus was an actual person is because we can now be confident that he had ideas, convictions, beliefs. Now, the real debate is not whether Jesus was an actual person, it's whether he was actually God. And whether he was God depends on whether he actually rose from the dead or not. You see, Jesus had several hundred followers, and about 2,000 years ago, Jesus was wrongfully murdered. He was beaten, whipped, his beard pulled out, he was nailed to a cross. Do you know how painful crucifixion is? Have you ever heard of the word excruciating? The word excruciating is this word that we use for intense pain. But did you know that the word excruciating comes from the word crucifixion? Crucifixion was so painful that we invented a word to describe it. And so Jesus was literally mutilated, hung on a cross, had his hands and feet nailed to a tree, and experienced excruciating amount of pain. But he persevered and he pushed forward and he carried out his mission because he loves you. You see, we believe that inside each and every single one of us is a me-focused nature, and that evil wants to drag us down into brokenness, hopelessness, chaos, and death. All of the depression, the anxiety, the brokenness, the racism, the prejudice, the evil, the chaos, the greed, all of it is overcome through Christ, who came and died and rose again to give you life and freedom. And by choosing to believe that Jesus rose from the dead, not only are we liberated from the consequences of that selfish nature, but through it, we are given power through the Spirit of God to join with God in the mission of making right all that is wrong in this world and in your life and in the life of others around you. So how do we receive that power? How do we receive that freedom? By choosing to believe. You know, I had a friend of mine recently, we were getting coffee and we were hanging out, and they chose to tell me a little bit about their past. They chose to tell me that when they were younger, they suffered a lot of abuse from one of their family members, and I believe them, right? I mean, if one of your friends came to you and they told you something had happened to them, you would believe them, right? I mean, were you there? My friend tells me that when they were a child, they were abused by one of their family members. I wasn't there. I didn't see it, and yet I believe their testimony. You would believe your friend too. You believe their testimony. You have faith in them. You know, Jesus was a person. He was a person with dreams and ideas and convictions. And choosing to believe that he rose from the dead isn't like believing in a fairy tale. You're just choosing to believe someone else's testimony. In fact, 500 other people's testimony. You see, when Jesus rose from the dead, 500 people saw him, and he walked among the people and his own followers for over a month. 500 people, they all saw Jesus. Not just his friends, but his enemies as well. Even his enemies saw him walk. You're just choosing to believe in their testimony. So I'll ask you again, who is Jesus? Now, you may be sitting here and you may be like, hey, yeah, you know, Caleb, I'm ready. I believe in Jesus. I'm gonna go today. I'm gonna die for Jesus today. Yeah, let's go. And if that's you, keep that conviction. I love that. I want you to hold on to that conviction, because we're gonna make that fire burn even brighter. But there may be some of you who are sitting here and you're like, I honestly have no idea who I think Jesus is. I have no idea what I even think about him. I'm hardly even sure of whether I still want to be a Christian or not. And that's okay. I'm not asking you to all of a sudden die for Jesus today. I'm not asking you to make any crazy decisions. I'm not asking you to go out and do something radical. I'm just asking you to answer one question. Who is Jesus? To you, who is Jesus? And that's it. I just want you to answer that question. I don't want you to do anything with it. I just want you to know where you are. Know where you are. And then I want you to think about where you want to be. Where do you want to be? By the way, if what we're talking about is turning your gears and it's making you think and you're kind of just you're stewing on some stuff, I would be really encouraged if you would like this video, share it with someone who you think may be encouraged by it, and consider following our channel so that you can get up to date on new episodes, and especially new episodes for this series, New Christian, Now What? Now, hopefully, all of us and every Christian should desire to be like Jesus. That's where we want to be. We want to be like Jesus, who lived a life that each of us should model our life after. When I answer that question, who is Jesus? I mean, Jesus is everything. I don't have to wonder if I would still follow Jesus if everything were taken away from me. I don't have to wonder that because it's already happened to me. I've had my whole world flipped upside down and taken away from me. And though there was a lot of bitterness and a lot of anger and frustration that came out of that, I still chose to be faithful and follow Jesus. In John 14, verse 6, Jesus tells his disciples that he is the way, the truth, and the life, and no one gets to the Father except through him. So let me ask you that question one more time. Maybe you should write it down, or get some music out and just kind of sit and relax and just think about that question. Who is Jesus? To you, who is Jesus? As a new Christian, this is the first and most important step that you should take.